Let's see, he's going fastball, fastball, fastball. Do you go another fastball? You drop the changeup in there?
Let's see here. We'll get the commentary, everybody. Welcome to the Week 10 Tiger Minor League recap here at TigersMLReport.com. I'm Rogelio, alongside Chris Brown. No Brandon Day this week, but so we're gonna try something a little different today. And I don't know if you noticed the score bug on the screen right now, as we're going to experiment with something, and this is something we're going to do going forward with minor leagues and major leagues too. So tonight, for the last, that was almost close here there. So we're going to be watching the game. So if you're watching the Tigers game right now on Bally Sports Detroit or whatever app you have or whatever pirated thing you have, no judgment, you can watch along with us. And we're going to be watching the game. And I have this little score app thing right here at the bottom of the screen. And right now, the Rangers have 2 runners on. Rex Grossman, former Tiger, as he just takes a ball high inside. And, just doing something like that. We're going to be watching the game. You can watch along with us. And then we're going to start the minor league recap towards the end of the game. So
got him with a changeup. Got him looking at a changeup with 5 straight fastballs and then a changeup.
Boom. Oh, there it is. Okay, so check this out. So there's 3 outs. Let's just, you got her there. And then, whoop, top of the 6. It's not the bottom of the 6. It's top of 6.
Yeah, clear those bases.
Yeah, clear those bases. And reset. And away we go. There we go. So,
not too shabby.
Not too shabby. So, if you're watching along with us, let us know what you think of this new scoring app thing, but we're going to try it out. We're not going to do this every time we live stream, by the way. This is just something we're trying out. For the most part, we're a few times here and there before our live draft show, which is coming up next month. So we want to get the feedback. We always are appreciative of it. I had Tim send me a nice email the other day, and we'll get to that in a little while. But anyway, so yeah, if you want watch us if you're watching the game at home, watch along with us, by all means, go for it. And so right now we're in commercial break right now. But either way, we'll have to get to Justyn-Henry Malloy making his major league debut.
Yeah, not much news. Not much news in the Tigers world this week.
No,
very quiet. Very uneventful series over the weekend. Not much happening.
Yeah, props to Josh or Tigers, by the way, bro, Tigers Turmoil, who caught a picture. Somebody sent him a picture of Justyn-Henry leaving Toledo yesterday with bags. Looked like he was packing, and sure enough, Tigers released him today to make room for Spencer Torkelson, who will be heading down to Toledo and will be the Mud Hens' new first baseman. So Justyn-Henry Malloy, I believe, has struck out both times he has faced Nathan Eovaldi.
No. First at bat, he drove the ball 380 feet, 102 miles an hour or whatever off the bat. First pitch he saw, Justyn-Henry Malloy, known for his patience, swings at the first pitch in his first at bat, strikes out in his second, just like we all predicted. And there's a first pitch swing, by the way.
So now you're actually ahead of me now.
I'm just watching the game day. So
okay. Jake Rogers. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those weird things where something people have been, yelling for to happen for like a month actually does happen.
Yeah.
It's nobody can be surprised, right, that Spencer Torkelson was sent down. We wrote an article about it a month ago saying like, hey, do the Tigers have options to replace him? Because it just wasn't, it's just not happening for him this year. And I was watching some comments earlier. They talked to AJ Hinch, and he was diplomatic about it, but he was like, yeah, basically we need him. Like, he's like, yeah, we need him to go down there and basically learn how to hit again and also get better on defense. Like, it's just been bad. Like, we all saw what he was capable of at the end of last year, the second half of last year. But so far in Major League Baseball, it's been more bad than good with Torkelson. And if you're gonna actually try to compete, you can't have a huge hole like that right there. If you can get rid of him, right? Like, if they could get rid of Javi Baez the same way, they probably would. But they can't at the moment. So trying something new with Justyn-Henry Malloy, who oddly enough, as you'll see on the slides, didn't have a particularly strong week last week. Certainly not his best week of the year. It just was like, all right, well, it's been long enough. Let's give him a chance.
Yeah, especially you have to see what you have with him. Some of the batted ball data too was kind of suggesting that you could hit the ball harder. Wow, that was a shot by Riley Green into the right field corner. Or is that foul? Is that foul?
It's a hit. It's a hit.
Oh, it's a hit? Okay, all right.
At least it is currently being labeled as such.
And as he slaps his ass and puts the elbow pad out down, so there we go.
Ground rule double.
Okay. And so we got running around second base now. So see, there we go. We're not gonna make a big deal every time I update the app, but it is pretty cool. And thanks to our donors, by the way, I was able to purchase this app. So if you like donating, if you want to donate, this is the stuff the donations go to. Improving technology, the future. So
our AI replacements.
But yes. So Nathan, he is going out of the game. They're bringing in, I think Matthew Leclerc is coming in.
Really?
So, yep, it's 1-1, top of 6 here, and our scoreboard app will keep you.
Is he just coming back from injury or something?
I believe so.
All right. Okay. It's 71 pitches. That's not a lot for Evaldi, but he is an injury-prone player. Yes, Sean. Rogelio gives me access to StatHead over at Baseball Reference, and sometimes I like go, I wonder. I was just curious how many players who have a 30 home run season in the big leagues then go on to not have any real success in their careers. And so I went and looked. At first, I had to see how many players have had a 30 home run season, and it's 520, which is a lot, but also not that many when you consider what has there been over 19,000 Major League Baseball players, over 20,000, something like that. And then I looked, and unfortunately, Torkelson right now, his career is certainly not over yet, but right now he's one of just 4 with a 30 home run season and a negative career WAR, joining Mike Jacobs, some dude I'd never heard of, and Yasmani Tomas, who people may remember from about a decade ago with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
The Cuban national, too, yeah. By the way, Josh, thank you for the $4.99.
For the future.
Exquisite.
For the future.
Hey, and Sean, thanks for becoming a real member. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but... Oh,
he's part of our YouTube membership thing. So all the extra stuff that we will put out there. So
a real member. Tomas got a 6-year, almost $70 million deal, and struggled in his first year, hit 31 home runs in his second year, and then struggled again in his third year, got hurt, and basically never came back to the big leagues.
I don't see the only thing is about this. I appreciate it, Sean. Thank you. You're the man. Thank you, sir. The one thing that I didn't understand was the amount of grief that people like. Just there's certain Twitter profiles that we can, certain ones that are Spencer. Well, there's a drive through the all right, never mind. See, I wouldn't be good at this because I was like, there's a drive, but it was right to center field. First pitch, 1 pitch, 1 out as the Tigers leave. Riley Green on second. School looks like it's going back out. Bottom of the 6th, 1-1. Tigers and Rangers at Global Park.
The outdoor grill stadium, right?
Yeah, the grill.
I don't know. It's fun or not necessarily fun. It doesn't seem like Scooble has his best stuff today, but he's really battling. He's been basically Simeon, Seager, and Langford are doing whatever they want, and then he's shutting down everybody else. But not whatever they want, right? Like they're not like hitting home runs off of him every time, but he's having trouble getting those guys out. But there it is, Globe Life Park. But yeah, hopefully he can give him another inning, maybe even 2 if it gets a quick inning here, and Tigers can come back like they did against Boston on Sunday.
Yeah, and that was an injury-laden Boston lineup too that the Tigers were able to buy back to. But so but I was gonna say one of the things that I didn't understand was you were pointing out stats about Spencer Torkelson, and people were saying, "Well, you're already burying the guy, and you never really liked him in the first place." Ladies and gentlemen, if people have an opinion and you back it up with facts, I don't understand what the big deal is. I would argue with one Harris Fulmer about Gamer Candelaria all the time. We would go back and forth. He doesn't argue with me anymore, doesn't even talk to me anymore on Twitter. But the point is, if the stats say something, then the stats say something. And it's not like you're going out of your way saying, "Oh, Spencer Torkelson is a bum" or anything. No one ever says anything like that. And it's just in the days of the internet, you can't have agree to disagree anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where we watched him all levels. All levels. There's saying, like I like to think that we have some sort of expert analysis with this. I mean, we're far from, we can be wrong. I mean, I was really excited about he just retired, Brian Packard.
No, well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people were. No, it's it reminds me. There's a great tweet about somebody talking about how people on Twitter are just getting arguments for no reason. It was somebody like you could write a tweet saying I like pancakes, and somebody will yell at you for not talking about waffles. It's just this way Twitter is. But we talked about it. We've talked about this many times, right? We saw Torkelson in his first series or whatever at West Michigan, and none of us came away impressed at all. We liked Dingler more at the time. There were a lot of issues we saw then that are still issues for Spencer Torkelson. He figured some things out, and
he was safe. I think he was safe there.
Adolis Garcia singles on a ground ball, and he figured some things out, and the trouble seemed to follow him. He never really conquered AAA, to be honest. But they brought him up to the big leagues, and he struggled there. And they got to last year, 30 home runs in the big leagues. You can't argue with that. But he's just a different player this year. Hitting under 200 against fastballs. It's hard to understand what his approach is, what his swing is right now, and hopefully he can figure out something in Toledo, unlock something. But it is kind of stark watching Torkelson swing. And I think we talked about this 3 years ago about how it just seems kind of like a groove swing. It's the same swing every time, same bat path. And then you go and watch a kid like Kevin McGonigal, who just puts the barrel on the ball no matter where the ball is, above the zone, below the zone, outside, inside, and not in a bad way. He's not like, Harold Castroing it. By the way, Harold Castro has a slightly higher OPS through 323 career Major League Baseball games that Spencer Torkelson does. But it's I don't know. Torkelson has never felt like a natural hitter to me. The power's there, obviously, and so he has to figure out a way to get himself into more positions to use that power. And if he can't, there's not much there because he's also a bad defender at first base, which is not ideal either.
Yeah, that's not going to play up too well. First and foremost, by the way, I love watching these Jim Leland highlights they have in here. They were watching breakdance. Him and Todd Jones he was Todd Jones was closer for a minute there. But second thing, also shout out to Mr. Kloss. Keep it classy.
Hey, Doug.
Good.
Yeah.
Hey, Doug.
Stay classy out there.
I always feel I can't refer to parents as their first name. I'm so like one of those things where it's just like born into me, like you must say Mr. or Mrs. And so
that I remember I really struggled with that with my ex-girlfriend's parents. And I'd like call up to talk to her and I just go, hey, like I wouldn't even say like hello, Mr. or Mrs. or hi, Rick or whatever. I just go, hey. But I don't know. I'm old. I've got a lot of gray hair on my beard now. I don't care. Yeah,
that should be. And 3-2 count on I Am Who. By the way, this guy, I love watching him play. I mean, he's a fun catcher to watch. He works the counts pretty well. And Garcia takes the lead off first year. And another foul back. Battling him. Right, though. He can't. Yes.
He walked him.
He walked him. Damn it. All right. Well,
that's yeah, I mean, it's squibble battling, but this is a real danger zone right here. You got Langford. I don't know if do they have anybody warming up in the bullpen?
No, not that I can see so far.
Excuse me. So, Larry says Torque will be fine. We'll be back by July 1st. I mean, we can hope, but I don't see any evidence to believe that, right? Like, what is it? Is he just going to go down and hit some sort of reset button and suddenly figure out how to hit? Because he's a career basically 207 hitter in the big leagues, or is that too low? I don't know but I don't know. Like we don't want to dwell on it and kick the guy while he's down too badly, but the facts are the facts, right? Like he just hasn't produced, and this is second time they've sent him down to Toledo for a reset. We've seen it. He's a 218 career hitter. My apologies. We've seen it with Matt Manning now, right? Where Matt Manning, they send him down, have him come back up, and he still kind of looks like the same guy. Nothing changes. Some guys aren't capable of changing. Some guys are, and we'll see if Torque can. But until he does, I don't really want to say anything about his future, unfortunately.
So right now the Rangers have 2 runners on here with Wyatt Langford, the much beleaguered pick. There's a strike that every Tiger fans, and even myself, admittedly wanted at one point. So, what did Seattle get for Kelenic? They got 2 starters, right? That are now on the IL, or 2 pitchers, right?
Yeah, that's right. But it was like one of them was a former pitcher for the Royals. What's his name? He was one of those college pitchers the Royals drafted in 2018 out of Florida. And
Brady. No,
it was the other one, Jackson Kowar.
Yeah, Jackson Kowar. Yeah, in exchange. So it was the Braves got Marco Gonzalez and Evan White in exchange for Konar and Cole Phillips.
Yeah, Cole Phillips was an interesting prospect, but I mean that's the thing right now where like I was joking with you that like we need to write a Motor City Bengals article about 3 potential change of scenery trades for Spencer Torkelson. And it's kind of feel that way where you take.
Oh, come on. That was a strike. That was the bottom of the zone. Oh, school. sorry.
Remember the 4th pitch? Absolutely. It looks like it was caught a ton of zone. The changeup.
How's that not a strike?
That's got to get those robo-umps, but apparently not coming. It was one of the retweets we had today was Justyn-Henry Malloy challenging a strike 3 call last year in Toledo and being correct because he has a great eye.
He does have a great eye. All right, 3-2 count here on Langford. School's got squeezed. Who's behind the plate tonight for?
Oh, what's his name? I heard his name earlier. It's let me see.
Oh,
Tom Hanahan.
Tom Hanahan. Oh, little Hanahan. It was a bad call there. So no foul ball here. Foul ball here by Langford. Slider inside.
But yeah. So it for all the chaos, kind of I don't know. Chaos might not be right, but newsworthy things happening.
Struck him out. Sorry. Struck him out on a changeup.
Yeah. All the newsworthy things happening in the big leagues from somebody Sean mentioned Reed Detmers getting sent down to AAA, Henry Davis coming back up to the majors. Just a lot of prospects going down coming up. I saw that the Padres are calling up Adam, is it Mazer? I think his name is the pitcher from Iowa. Lots of stuff.
Baltimore deciding to go all.
Yeah, they brought up Connor Norby.
Yeah,
which is kind of fun. Also, kind of interesting that Jackson Holliday hasn't been too great since going back down to AAA. And oddly enough, his walks and strikeout profile is a lot like Justyn-Henry Malloy right now. A lot of walks, a lot of strikeouts, not a lot of contact in the zone. Kind of interesting. But anyway, it was a good week in the minors. All 4 teams, all 4 regular season teams, I believe, won their week. And some moved up in the playoff race. So,
man, Connor Noby would be such a he's a Carolina guy, so that's a good school too. Yeah, Noby putting up an OPS of 884, that'll do just fine in Norfolk, and so that's so embarrassment of riches. The Tigers look like they have somebody warming up in the bullpen here, as it's now 3-1 on Smith.
Yeah, I mean Scooble's at 93 pitches right now. Really, as I said, really battling out there. But you gotta hope he can. Well, he's really doing a good job. But needs one more big out here. I don't know. It's always tough when you have like all these high pressure pitches at when you're getting closer to 100. You worry about those causing some stress on the arm.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a worrisome here. Bottom of the 6th, 3-2 count here. And the payoff pitch. Strike 3, got him. Outside corner. Looks like a fastball outside corner. And now the Rangers have 2 outs with 2 runners on. There's a big strikeout there. Big strikeout.
Yeah, Scooble went from having 2 strikeouts. Let's see, 1, 2. He's got 4 strikeouts in the last, in the 5th and the 6th right now. Almost hit Duran. There you go. All right, got the out. Yeah. Sorry.
So he's got Duran. He got Duran out.
Yeah.
Okay. I felt like saying Duran. So That's not his name.
That ball was dancing in the sand.
It was hungry like a wolf trying to get out of the infield there.
There's no ordinary world when Spencer when Torkelson's on the mound.
That ball definitely came undone.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. That's a deep cut
Somehow
there.
I have to find our sponsor.
There we go. Oh, school is pumped for that. All right. So
yeah,
we head to the
he battled.
Top of the seventh now. And we clear the bases out of here. And there we go. Yeah.
I will say this. Over the last month, the worst bullpen in baseball, the Texas Rangers. Second worst bullpen in baseball, the Detroit Tigers. But so it's the old movable object, resistible force thing here. But you hope that maybe the Tigers can get something going against these relievers. Yeah.
By the way, it's funny you are playing spoilers because everybody. It's like spoilers here, but it's okay. We're like I said, we're experimenting with this for the first time, so we're still getting the bugs out. But
I'm stuck in the middle because my video stream is 90 seconds behind everybody else, so I'm just following along game day, which is apparently about 10 seconds ahead. So I will keep my mouth shut, and you'll just have to react based on my facial expressions.
The Chris pass gas or the Texas score run. But the other part about today too, which was interesting about Spencer Torkelson too, and I don't know if we talked about this, but blaming the hitting coaches. Now, there's a thing about this that I don't understand. A hitting coach looks at the video, sees what they can fix, and it's up to the player to fix it or not. If the player is not fixing it, then and not implementing it, then even going down in the press room, just tell you this from experience, and just talking to the beat writers, Torkelson didn't talk about a swing. You don't talk about a swing. His swing was fine. It's not him. That was fine. So, because I saw some people out there blaming him or blaming the coaches. They can only do so much. You can only use a horse to water, and if they're not going to drink, what is it?
Yeah, I mean it's always the easiest thing to do. I remember, everybody wanted to get rid of Scott Coolbaugh forever, right? And the Tigers brought in they have 3 hitting coaches. They had 3 hitting coaches last year. One of them left, and they replaced them. We talked about this before. They let their players consult with outside hitting coaches. Kerry Carpenter goes to the teacher man. Riley Green talks to his his old high school hitting coach, or they don't care. Whatever works for the guys. But you got 13
did the same thing.
Yeah, you got 13 players in the big league roster with 13 different swings. They do their best to keep these guys, on time and locked in, and they give them all the information they need. But it ultimately is up to the player to make the adjustment. And hitting is obviously incredibly hard, but some guys can make the adjustments. Some guys can understand what is happening against them very quickly, and that's what you always talk about. That is one of the huge signs of a gifted hitter, is their ability to make adjustments and understand how they're being attacked. That was Miguel Cabrera was brilliant at that. They talked how Cabrera in his prime would even set up pitchers by putting a bad swing on a pitch to make him throw it again and then waiting for it. Stuff like that. Not everybody can do that, obviously, but that's just the easy excuse. The hitting coaches are putting in the work, and Torkelson's putting in the work too. Like it's not like he's not working hard. You go down to the ballpark, you see him, you see him in the cage, you see him in the field doing all that stuff. It's just, it's a results business, and it's got to be tough. And I feel for Spencer Torkelson, you obviously don't want to, go back to the minors at this point in your career, but maybe it's what's best for him, and maybe ultimately he'll figure it out. But I don't know how long he's going to be down there. I think they're going to give Malloy a pretty decent leash, right? They didn't add him to the 40-man and bring him up just to send him back down in a week or 10 days. I think he's going to be here at least a month, if not 2.
Yeah. Buddy Kennedy, Buddy Kennedy was designated for assignment. We forgot to mention that earlier. And, Andrew Navagato was mentioned as one of the international players of the week. And look, there's some batted ball data that suggests that Navagato has been able to handle it just fine down there. And so I wouldn't mind that at all. This guy overcame quite a bit last year. He came over from a grade 4 shoulder separation and is able to bounce back pretty well. He's been a pretty effective infielder for Toledo. By the way, in 12 starts, as Evan Petzel just tweeted out, Derek School with the ERA 1.9. So that was a big cut there by Malloy. And started back here. He's wearing number 36. I'm trying to remember the last player that wore 36.
Oh. I'm not good with numbers, but we could probably look that up. Right?
Yeah, probably look that up. Thank you, Joe Hill, for the $10.
Exquisite.
And you have a $10. And his question is, do you think Tork's struggles are largely mental with all the pressure being picked number one and Miggy literally and figuratively passing off the first base glove? You know, I like that, Joe. That's a really good question. And I think, thank you for the question too, by the way, the $10. I think it has a lot to do with, there's some mental aspect to it. Definitely has. I mean, there is a lot. He was rushed through the minors. There's no bones about it. The Tigers didn't have a backup plan either for first baseman. So they kind of put him out there. And we already saw him see some time down in the minors. And Malloy just strikes out. That was a good pitch there. But I think there is a pressure aspect to it. It could be in between the ears a little bit. And so, I mean, this is the second time you go back down after being called up to the majors. So the mindset right now is probably a little fragile. And so I would think that whatever he's got to do to get back here, he'll do it. And thank you, by the way. Thank you. Chase Shrevin was the last player to wear number 36.
Chase and Shreve.
Yeah.
I also see that Jeff Weaver wore 36.
Jeff Weaver, I forgot about that. I thought he wore 44 for some strange reason.
He may. I'm looking right now. 36, 18, 36. It looks like 36 for most of his career. You know, Baseball Reference has this all, so I'm able to look and see. But yeah, like, what's the Yogi Berra quote, right? 90% of this game is half mental.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, I can't imagine the pressure that any pro athlete feels, and particularly in baseball, where you're kind of out there in the middle of the field and like it's this one-on-one matchup and everybody's staring at you. It's tough. I'm sure there's a lot of that to it. And I think it probably snowballs, right? When the more you struggle, the more you focus on it, the more you think about it, the more you start trying to force things. I mean, we thought Torkelson might have been coming out of it a couple weeks ago, and then it was right back into it, right? Like, just, you know, what do you go 0 for 16 or something like that? It's I don't know. You'd like to think. I imagine a situation where he's basically being prepared for what the pitchers are going to do to him, and he knows it. And then when he gets there into the batter's box, it just kind of disappears, and the instincts kick back in, and then it's swinging at the wrong pitches and taking the wrong pitches. Just one of those things. I remember doing that from, like, playing video games, right? Like, okay, I'm going to hold on, I'm going to wait on this pitch, and then you go, oh, that looks good, swing at it, and then, like, little ground ball to shortstop. I think it's just tough. I don't know how certain athletes do it, how they tune things out, how they can forget about things. Like they say, that's like the number one trait in a NFL cornerback, right? Is to just forget about the last play. You can give up a 70-yard pass and just go, oh, well, or with a closer. And some guys, I don't know if they can do it.
And hopefully that's the case. He still has time to do so. So Bo Brisky in for the Tigers heading into the bottom of the seventh here against Tavares. Oh, that was a pitch went a little bit all the way to the backstop there.
It looks like Malloy really expanded the zone on that last strikeout.
Yes, he did.
Looks like it was a fastball. Yeah. Other batters like probably a little bit nervous, forcing a little bit. That's not really his game.
Yeah, there was some questions how we did a little 60-second video earlier, and somebody was asking how come we didn't. Oh, that was a nice pitch. How come we didn't put the strikeout rate 22%? Well, yeah, I mean, patient hitter and all that. I don't think I used every single adjective known to man to describe him. So there you go. Another swing and miss there on the fastball there by Brisky. 2-2 count here on Tavares. As you're saying, Chris, go ahead.
I don't know what was I saying. I don't know. It Malloy and Torkelson, and yeah, I don't know. It's tough to watch for everybody. You know, it's the hitting equivalent of getting the yips, right? Where you feel for these guys. He does kind of look like Inspector Gadget. That's a good call, Stan. Go Gadget slider would be nice. And we're talking the cartoon version of Inspector Gadget, not the Matthew Broderick version. Who?
Yeah.
I'll get you, Gadget.
I'm thinking of that now. Oh, man. All right. I'm sorry.
We got
I'm sorry.
Sean, thank you very much. He's got a question here from Sean O'Toole. He says an outside question.
Wait. I gotta give him a hold on. I gotta give him
that's right.
Off the Frickers building.
All right.
Very nice. Outside question: is there any scenario where McGonigal and Clark go straight to Erie, or is that too aggro for quarter zip Theo, which I believe is his name for Scott Harris? Penny was the real hero. Yeah, I can't recall. Maybe you remember, Raj. I can't recall a prospect skipping high A, going from low A to double A. Like in the middle of a season. I remember.
No.
Alex Avila did that. He came out of came into pro ball. I think he went to low A West Michigan and then skipped right to double A Erie. But you're talking about a college player.
I don't. Didn't Verlander skip Lakeland though, or he went straight from low A to double A? Didn't he?
I don't know if he. I think he maybe started in high A. Maybe it was. Maybe he just went straight to double A and triple A.
I'm trying to remember though. There was a positional. I feel like there was a couple pitchers did it, but positional players is very, very rare. That I'm trying to think of.
I mean, the big skips that I remember, right, are that Rick Porcello skipped over low A, went right to high A Lakeland, and then went right to the big leagues after that. Skipped over double A, triple A.
Didn't Robbie Weinhardt do the same thing though?
He may have, but I feel like he hit every. I thought he hit like every level pretty quickly. Buck Farmer might have skipped over high A.
Yeah, he did skip. No, he was at West Michigan, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He may have skipped. I don't know. He may have skipped over low A and did high A, double A, triple A. It's and we can talk about this forever. Like Daniel Fields went straight to high A for some stupid reason. No, I can't recall a situation where they've done that. I will say this. And we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to that slide or whatever. But I do think that McGonigal in particular is not long for Lakeland. They've got 12 games left, I think, maybe 14 games left in the first half, and they're one game behind Clearwater right now. We talk about this all the time. Like, it's not going to hurt him to spend another 2 weeks in Lakeland, and it's not going to do wonders for his development if he goes up right now. And they like the idea of these guys, forming bonds with each other and playing games that mean something. You got to give players that occasionally. They're still playing games that they want to win. This goes all the way back to our Parker Meadows discussion when he was bunting all the time, because he wanted the feeling that he helped the team. They actually care about winning. And so I do think they want these guys to feel that pennant race. That'd be a tough.
No, strike out there. He struck out. Hey, you know what? A Bo Brisky strikes out Marcus Simeon. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know. You got to
Gadget. We'll go Gadget fastball there.
Just got to get Seager now. Throw that change up. But all I was saying there was from what I've seen from Kevin McGonigal right now, and to a lesser extent Max Clark, but I think they're both going to be in high A before too long. It would not stun me if McGonigal keeps hitting in high A and makes his way to double A at the very end of the year. That would be super aggressive, and you don't see that all the time. But just from what we've seen, that the level of hitter he is, the control of the strike zone, the ability to manipulate the barrel, it wouldn't stun me if he forces another move. But I wouldn't tell anybody to expect it, right? Like, I think it's pretty awesome that both those guys are hitting enough to already be considered for a move up. When you look at some other guys, now Aiden Miller has been fantastic for the Phillies, but you look at Arjun Nimala, who was the Blue Jays' first-round pick, another high school bat, was just sent from low A down to the complex league because he was hitting 160 or something like that. And they always knew he was a little bit raw, but things could be going bad, and they're going great right now. And so I don't think we should get greedy with those two.
No, we shouldn't at all. And the thing is that I think McGonigal is, I will say this, he is better at his age than watching Cole Keefe when he first started. He's only everything, like he's just barreling up everything. But the quality at bats too, just his eye at the plate
at that
is extraordinary. Well,
Yeah. I can't tell you.
Oh, okay. All right.
I can't tell you that.
Okay. All right.
That would be me.
Okay. They were okay.
I've been swimming in raw sewage. I love it. But yeah, so
Oh, wow. He struck out the side. Oh, look at that. Nice.
you know what? I mean, right now the bullpen is desperate for some reliable arms who can get some swing and miss or get some strikeouts, and that was, I think, a little bit more difficult than anybody would like. What was it? 10 pitches, 4 pitches, 6, so 20 pitches to get those 3 strikeouts. But yeah, I mean, you know what? It's there. It is there. You know, it's it. Rogelio, for those who might be listening and not watching, Rogelio has put a picture of Inspector Gadget next to Bobrisky, and is now enjoying his life. We gotta figure out who the claw is or whatever.
Oh man, you know the claw is.
You know, that was. Do you remember? One of these days, I want to ask this of everybody. But the first like dirty joke they heard as kids, because one of the first ones I heard involved Inspector Gadget, and I don't know if other people heard that. But
Wait, what was that? I'm sorry, I was too busy. I got way too distracted.
Just one of the first dirty jokes I heard as a kid, or inappropriate jokes involved Inspector Gadget. It's like, you know, you're supposed to say Inspector Gadget after everything the other person says, and
okay, all right.
They eventually say, "What did you do to the girl next door?"
You know what they should do is play the Inspector Gadget theme when he comes out of the bullpen. Inspector
listen,
Gadget.
That's a pretty fantastic song.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any debating that.
By the way, I put on Twitter, Emilia has gotten some. Yeah.
Did you give credit to Stan?
Yeah, I did. I did. Shout out to
good.
listener. I didn't have his Twitter handle on me, so I said shout out to listener Stan. I credit where credit's due. You know me. I will never ever. Yeah. Like we had a situation where last week where Chris McCoskey gave myself credit for breaking news, and it was reality. It was one of our listeners who let me know, and immediately I was like, "Look, I'm sorry," because I talked to the beat writers quite a bit, just to say, "Hey," and I even showed the screenshot. It was Josh who sent me the information.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
but yeah, so now we're kind of back to waiting patiently for the offense to do anything.
Yes,
you've got Jake Rogers with a solo home run, and that's it.
Yeah, that is it. And we have to,
Inspector Brisky. I mean, it even like the right number of syllables.
And call him when Roger interviews Bo next time. I'm sure he'll call him Inspector. And I hopefully, if I go down the locker room and get, hopefully everybody has a sense of humor about it, and everybody, just.
It'd be fantastic if this one catches on. We, I don't know if we take credit enough for Kerry Bonds, but
we should. It was all us.
That was that was birthed, I believe, in the Discord.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. You can't unsee it now.
I will say this is one thing we didn't discuss. I wrote in my what to expect from Malloy article. And I wasn't the only one to say this, was that we kind of speculating that the corresponding 40-man roster move would be Kerry Carpenter going to the 60-day IL, not Buddy Kennedy being DFA'd. And thanks, Kennedy, for your service, as always. He did provide a couple moments. But so I don't know if that's good news for Carpenter, that maybe he won't be out that long with a stress fracture in his back. It seems like that was the sort of thing that might keep you out for the whole year. So I'm choosing to take that as good news right now. We did do a Brisky business. We'd made a picture of that, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll have to see. I might still have that in my phone. I'll send it to you if I can find it.
That was a good one too. Brisky business was also a good one. There's a couple of them. We had one the other day at McGonagall over 800 APS like McDonald's, and somebody was like, "You're using an evil corporation," and guys, chill out.
Yeah, I took a trip down that dude's timeline, and I don't know enough about crypto to talk to that guy. But yeah, no, people like what's wrong? It's cool to hate on McDonald's, but there's a reason there's 40 billion restaurants and the food's fine. Anyway.
Shout out to Sean with a great line here on YouTube. Shout out to Jake's bad tweets in Discord today for saying if you put Mike Valenti's brain. It brain in a bird, it would bark. That put me in the Phantom Zone for 30 minutes.
I missed that one. That's outstanding.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
I think that was related to apparently they were doing more Scooble trade talk, which we and we've talked about that. We talked about the opposite the other day, but
yeah, get off your high horse about it already. That's good though. That's a really good one. So 0-1 count on Jake Rogers, and hopefully you can bring another home run in here. Mustache is looking majestic these days.
How about the Rangers announcers were marveling at his mustache. They were talking about how it's a Tom Selleck mustache or a walrus mustache, and Tom Selleck has a relationship with the Tigers and all that stuff.
Here.
So, there's a comment from Larry.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here. There it is. Jake Rogers.
Look at Jake Rogers coming home to Texas.
Deep in the heart of Texas. Look at the reliever's face on that, too. Look, it was just like, I can't believe I just did that. Exit velocity 106.4 off the bat. And the Tigers take the 2-1 lead in the A.
What who is the
blue beast?
You know who's set up to win, get the win now? It's Spectre Brisky.
Yeah.
Need more though.
Yeah. You know what, Penny? You know what? Jake Rogers is playing the role of Penny tonight. So there you go. And he's got the pizza spear on him. There you go. That's pretty sweet there. Man, that was a shot too. That was a good home run. And Rogers hold that spear with pride.
The last time he had a 2-home run game. We looked that up.
Stealing strikes and hitting home runs. Good call there. So 4 games back of the wild card spot here. So we are, if in case you're just joining us for the first time, we are live streaming. We're doing a live simulcast while live streaming the game. So if you're watching the game at home, you're following along with us. We're doing this at the same time. We have this cool scoreboard app. So all the donations, like I said, goes back. Oh, wow, that was a nasty swing there by Perez on a changeup away. But the Tigers take the lead on a Jake Rogers home run to the left. We go to the bottom of the 8th. 2-1 Detroit. You're listening to, all right, no, sorry, I was doing my old radio thing there. You're listening to the Tiger Minor League Report. You're listening to the Tiger Minor League Report.
The third multi-home run game of Jake Rogers' big league career. Both of the other ones were last year, June 9th against Arizona, and then September 17th against the Los Angeles Angels.
So, by the way, if Kieran and Mrs. turning the corner have to attend the whole series now. They're down in Texas. That's,
nice.
Yeah. So every time he's in town, I've always missed him. So hopefully next time he's in town.
I've never met Kieran.
Met him once, I believe, briefly.
And I tend to, every now and then when I get up in the press box, I try to leave the guys alone, even though I just they're working. So I don't really. I'll say hello to Cody and Evan and McCoskey and Beck and all those guys, but I don't want to bother them.
Yeah, especially McCoskey gets in the zone, and shout out to Chris. He's in his zone.
He's just angry about everything. The baseball's all bad.
Yeah, it's just when the Tigers make a play, and he's just like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But all right.
So bottom of the 8th here, we're just waiting for the Tigers, the game to back on. I'm not sure if the game's on your end, Chris, but
looks like Brisky's still in there.
Nice.
They have Nathaniel Lowe batting, left-handed hitting first base type.
It was a guy who I wanted the Tigers to trade it a couple years back when he was down in Tampa system. I thought it would be a good pickup there. Stan, thank you for the 1999.
Whoa.
Off the Frickers building.
You have to give him
also
that ball is gone. Such a all-time
by the inventor of the Inspector Gadget. I'm still laughing about that. So Jake Rogers having a night. Matthew Broder, return a call. I asked you if you wanted to come on the draft show. Let me know. I'm gonna call you out in public. That's what I'm gonna do right now because I can do that.
The draft show.
Interactions with Dan.
Dan
Dickerson.
Dickerson?
Yeah. There's so next time I see him, he told me he has a bunch of old baseball books he's looking to get rid of. So I told him I'd take him off his hands.
And we've
But
had him
every
on
time,
we've had him on the podcast twice or 3 times.
3 times. We're due to have him on again. I'm probably gonna try to ask him in the All-Star break. By the way, I did text Trey Cruz today. I was asking him some questions about his swing. So
He had a hell of a month.
oh yeah, he had a hell of a month. And one of the things he was talking about was his footwork. And so we'll get down that a little bit later. That's so they were playing earlier a catch that was that just now you made that catch? Missed that earlier.
Winslow Perez?
Yeah, the sliding catch.
Nice. Excuse me. Perez has ended up we saw glimpses of him, the athleticism and ability to play the outfield, but he's remember when they brought him up, they're like, yeah, we don't want to put him in the outfield, he's a little bit iffy out there, and then suddenly you'll start in center field, that's fine. And he's holding his own. So he's been a James Tibbs the third. This is Matt Broda. There's a potential Torkelson replacement at first base.
Thank you. Yeah, there was because I looked away for the screen for a moment and I saw that Perez catch come up, and that was a T-Mobile play already. Well, he's been inconsistent with the bottom of the zone. So Brisky just threw a 95-mile fastball to Garcia, same spot where Brisky, or rather, Scooble's changeup earlier was not called a strike, but this time it was for Brisky, which I'm not complaining about. Don't get me wrong, but let's see here. And if he forces Garcia to take a chop swing right there for that, but very inconsistent strike zone tonight from the umpiring for the men in black, which
Hong Kong Fooey, number one super guy. So yeah, we got a big league game going on.
Let's see here.
I would say today was supposed to be the opening day of the Dominican Summer League, and both games were rained out for the Tigers. I was like, oh, all right. But I did notice this, and I mentioned it, that the Tigers claimed, I don't know how they got him. They picked up a player who was in the Ranger system, and it's possibly my most favorite name I've heard in the last couple of years. Snarlin Evangelista.
Like Starling?
Snarlin. SNARLYN. Like snarling. Like that's a guy you need on the Tigers. A snarlin.
Sound like an anime character. When you mentioned it earlier in Discord, it sounded like an anime character. Just sounds really made up.
Like the Evangelista part, yeah, it's the whole thing is. But snarlin.
Yeah.
I'm just going. I'm not saying anything because I'm looking through my picture roll for the old Brisky business picture, which I may have deleted, unfortunately, which would be a bummer. Maybe I can find it. Maybe I put it on Twitter. I don't know. This is thrilling, compelling action for us.
We're watching the game here. Garcia pops out to center, Riley Green under it. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Brisky at 30 pitches. So interesting what they do here for the 9th. Again, that was a pitch there where he threw Garcia off. Brisky got away with it too. That's some words there for.
I'm surprised they let him go second, but that it wasn't. I mean, that's something we've seen from them with their relievers down in Toledo, right? We talk about with Flores a lot that they have these people going. Usually have the relievers going multiple innings, I think, because they want them to be able to do that.
Especially because their bullpen's already been taxed a little bit here too, as well.
Yeah, I mean, Lang down in Toledo, he was their big swing and miss guy, right? And unfortunately, he threw too many balls, and then threw one ball too many out of the stands or out of the field of play. And we talked before, what's that?
I reported that Shelby Miller might be coming back as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah, he was in the locker room, I think.
Yeah.
They said Wentz is there, Englert's there, Miller's there, so they don't really know who is going to go away or what's going to happen. But
no, you're correct, Sean. Brisky was a starter in the organization until a couple of years ago, and I put him out of the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, he was. It's a kind of a interesting development. It mirrored a little bit Garrett Hill, where Brisky was a starter throwing in the low 90s. I think he touched like 94 and then showed a really nice changeup. And then, for whatever happened, they started, they shortened him up and he threw a lot harder. Now he's touching 97, 98. The changeup's still there. Altered his slider a little bit this year. I still don't know if it's a good pitch. It doesn't have really any
nice pitch there. That's a nice changeup.
Doesn't have a lot of horizontal movement. And this is neither here nor there, but that's one of the reasons I don't really want the Tigers to draft Cam Caminiti.
I think in the next couple of weeks we're going to be doing a little bit more on the draft each show going forward. But I don't want a pitcher. The Tigers need you draft by needs. I understand that, but okay, fly it out to center. Okay, it's in either.
I don't hate the idea of a pitcher. You need pitching, right? But I don't know. This draft specifically, there's not even one pitcher that I really love. There's a kid out of Idaho that's really climbing boards. It's really fun. I forget his name, but it's like this definitely feels like a draft where you could end up with a Scooble, like a 9th rounder being the best pitcher in the draft. It's just as much as Hagen Smith and Chase Burns are putting up these ridiculous numbers, I don't really like either of them as starters in pro ball, but I don't know. I tend to view everybody negatively until they go out and prove it.
Honestly, I do like the idea of James. It's funny, we were mentioning Tibbs earlier, but yeah, I feel like if James Tibbs was there at number 11, you take him or another guy too that I don't think he will be. I do like Bryce Rayner. I mean, that kid's built. I mean, that'd be nice. If the Tigers, if he's there, a left-handed hitting shortstop is there at 11, you don't take him. What do you?
Yeah, it's. I mean, he was a guy who kind of moved up after the National High School Invitational. He's been on radars. He was at the Perfect Game National last year or whatever. But he was the best player at the NHSI. And I mean, there's a chance he'll be available up there. I think that one of those organizations in the top 10 is going to prefer a high school player to one of the college players available. So I doubt he'll be there for the Tigers, but there's a chance he's there. People say like, they compare him to Colson Montgomery or whatever, or Corey Seager, because he's a big left-handed hitting shortstop. But just looking at him, to me, he doesn't look like he's going to stick at shortstop. He's really big, like you said. But even if he plays third base, that's still fine.
Yeah. By the way, Pick Out the Park is coming up on June 8th. Special ticket prices include a pink giveaway bag. So go to tigers.com/pink. I'm not being endorsed for that whatsoever. I don't know why I did that, but it was just coming up on the screen. And
I also think that it's Filipino Heritage Night coming up relatively soon. So
that is pretty cool, by the way. They did the Polish night, and the Polish hats are pretty cool. I'm waiting for the Cuban night, which I don't think will happen. I mean, we'll
Cuban night.
We get with Fiesta Tigres, which is just incorporating all Latin cultures. Don't get me wrong, and that's perfectly fine. But I know my dad would. It's funny when that certain thing roll out. My dad goes, "Well," I'm like, "Well, Dad, they're incorporating all the nights," and he's like, "Well, no me importa eso. Para los cubanos, for the Cubans." So
yeah, I mean, it does feel a little bit like saying, like, if you were just saying like Asian Heritage Night, and you're like, Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, you're all the same, right? Well, Fiesta Asia.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel quite right, but Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and Venezuelans and Cubans are all different people with different histories. But
yeah. Oh, yeah, I did see the Christmas Vacation Mud Hens kits today. Those
wow,
jerseys,
I did not see that.
Yeah, those are pretty sweet. We'll show them after the game. So we're right now top of the 9th and 1 out, and the batter is Marcana, as the Tigers looking to, who's 0 for 3 on the night, by the way. Jake Rogers, a pair of home runs, as the Tigers are looking to take the first of I believe it's a 4-game series, correct?
I think it's just 3.
It's a 3-game series. Okay.
Let me check. I will look.
And Canna pops out the left.
Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, just 3.
3, okay.
Then day off on Thursday. Then they come home to host the Brewers
on Friday.
The Brewers are a very underrated organization.
Yeah.
Maybe, they consistently win. They consistently have started developing interesting prospects and players. They lost their manager. They lost their best pitcher, right? They traded him away. Still 36-24 right now. Pretty.
I want them to
impressive.
beat. I want them to beat Craig Counsell to the ground, just because there's
Turncoat.
drive to center and underneath it. So we're going to the bottom of the ninth. Langford, Smith, and Duran are due up for the Rangers in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah, you wonder who's going to be pitching. Who
Looks like Brisky's coming back out
for a third inning? That's crazy.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Brisky's coming back out for the ninth.
Wow. That seems like pushing it a little bit much to me, but they did use Faedo and Foley and Chafin and Holton yesterday.
Yeah.
So
as far as how I feel about the Tigers DFA and Buddy Kennedy, I'm cool with it because they have a glutton of infielders right now. I mean, if you look at who they have in Erie right now, Trey Cruz, Gage Workman, a lot of guys who are repeating AA again, it makes sense. So makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, he was never I don't know. He never felt like a piece of the future, right? It was kind of odd that they DFA'd Lipsius to get Buddy Kennedy. And but that kind of just shows where they viewed all these guys in the roster. They're basically the 40th man. And I thought that if they were going to call anybody up, it was going to be Valade again, because he can play first base, he can play the outfield. He's only a year older than Malloy. I think people kind of missed that because he was a minor league free agent, and his production has been about the same as Malloy's in AAA. But there comes a time when you just want to give a guy a chance, right? You got to find out what you have in Malloy. And Stan talks about Hao-Yu Lee in the area. Yes, second baseman who is playing very well. We will discuss him shortly. One of the it's pretty fun to see that, because he is only 21 in AA, and we've compared it before. He's got a 133 WRC plus right now, and Marcelo Meyer is a 134 as a 21-year-old. He's actually older than Lee.
Yeah.
Of course, Meyer is a shortstop, but still pretty fun to have a similar hitter there.
So yeah, Brisky. Oh, sorry. I was going to go with Lee real quick too. Will Vest is warming up too, just in case.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically the only other option, I would think, because Foley pitched yesterday and the day before.
Yeah. So the most innings he's pitched in relief is 54 back on September 6th. It's Valley Sporting that right now. So
most pitches. Yeah.
Most pitches. Yeah. Most pitches in relief. Right. I'm sorry. Most pitches in relief. Yeah. There you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's on Wyatt Lafford. There's that strike. Okay. So they're calling it the consistent bottom of the zone again.
The bottom of the zone.
0-1. Waiting for a night single and a triple. And he pops up.
The third baseman, Rogelio.
Boom. One out in the ninth. All right.
Well, this is interesting.
What's that?
I just wanted to check something real quick, because, as I mentioned before, if they hold on to win, this would actually be a win for Brisky, right?
Yes. By the way,
he does have two career. I was just curious if he has big league saves. He does have two career big league saves. So
interesting enough that Walter mentioned the Tommy Pham stuff, which we are going to play the audio for that. But if you're saying that, because I watched it, I didn't hear the audio. I just watched the whole play. I haven't heard the audio yet. So I'll be interested in hearing that, because Hawk Harrelson to me is still one of the all-time homerist announcers. And the good guys are up 3-1 here. Well, I'm sorry. That sounds more like my bad Skip Carey impression. And the Braves win 3-1. Top of the
you
five.
Gotta be bleeping me.
Yeah, there it is. That's a better one.
Evidently Jerry Reinsdorf just wants clowns as his announcers. Just big homer clowns. The new guy is embarrassing. Like, it's just, like I said, it's kind of stunning how
he gone
bad that was. But
so Joey wants to know, and by the way, Flaherty is going tomorrow in game 2. Joey wants to know if we lean towards extending or trading Flaherty. I think you get something for Flaherty that could help him out. Like for example, look at Hao-Yu Lee as a prime example of that. They trade Michael Lorenzen, and Lee has potential to be a big league player. So Ooh, got him on the top of the zone there. Smith thought he had to walk there.
I mean, well, there you go, Brisky. I right now, it sure feels like they should keep Flaherty and extend him. It's just kind of it's a tough balancing act right now because they're not out of the wild card, right? And I think if you're the Tigers, you like your chances.
Strike out. Sorry.
If you get into a wild card game or a series, you're pretty well represented by your starting pitchers there, probably. Depending on how it goes down the stretch. If you have a Skubal, Flaherty, Olsen, that's Olsen had a hiccup in his last outing, but that's a pretty formidable trio. So yeah, I mean, I think you've got to just play it straight right now. You got to try to win the wild card, and if they fall out too far, then I think you consider trading Flaherty. We talked before about, I think honestly the best option might be to just keep him all year, give him the qualifying offer, and then maybe use that as kind of the, I don't know how the right way to describe it, but we've seen this before where a guy gets to the end of the season, gets a qualifying offer, and then it ends up re-signing with the same team because it's more of a pain, right? Like, it's basically the other teams don't want to give up any draft picks or, don't want to lose draft picks. And so I think that might be the best option right now. But as Raj said, if things do go south, Flaherty, it's entirely possible that Flaherty will be the best rental starting pitcher available, and you might get a little bit of a bidding war going there. So I'm not opposed to trading him or extending him, but I think the best option might be right there in the middle.
By the way, I did not know that Tommy Pham was stabbed at a strip club while he was with the Padres.
I remember that. Yes.
I did not know that.
Wasn't he also the one who punched a guy for fantasy baseball?
Yes.
Who did he punch? Was it?
It was somebody. He was our ugly. I remember that. Yeah, you get a comp pick. You give him a qualifying offer, correct? That's right.
Yeah. The Tigers would, I think, after. I don't know what it got all complicated now based on, if you receive revenue sharing or if you're over the luxury tax. Yeah, Jock Peterson. There you go. Deadly Ninja Beast. Thank you. But the Tigers would get a draft pick. I don't know if it's, in the 35 range or the 70 range or whatever. I don't think that's necessarily ideal, I think. But it depends on what you think you can get. Oh, he
punched Jock Peterson. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
boy.
Duran. Oh, damn it. Duran. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Good thing that wasn't a silent Simon LeBom. Oh.
All right, runner on second now.
You wonder, you've got Leody Taveras in right now. I mean,
there's nothing they played him off the bag. There's nothing they can.
Are they going to bring in Vest? They're bringing in Vest.
Who's crazier, Tommy Pham or Milton Bradley?
Milton Bradley, he lost it multiple times on the field, as I recall.
We have a Cleveland Guardian fan who that swing was a reflex.
Did Milton Bradley get hurt while flipping out on a run up?
I believe so. I
I feel like that happened.
All right. Oh, they're keeping Brisky in the game. They're letting Brisky pitch. He's way out of this.
That is, he's at 49 pitches. That is kind of. I wonder if they're.
Yeah, I think Milton was crazier. I mean, Milton Bradley. I mean, of course, the name stands out too, but. I mean, Milton Bradley. I think threatened people. He threatened people all the time too, I believe. All right, let's see here. Bars 0 for 3 on the night. You can't hear. Oh, okay, Brisky's like, I can't hear anything. I think he's trying to pitch com.
Yeah, probably.
Something's going on with the pitch com.
I wonder.
He's got the hat. He's like this, trying to listen to it. Go ahead, Chris. What were you gonna say?
Did Federer actually go out and talk to him, or was it Hinch go out and talk to him, or?
I think it was Hinch that talked to him.
No. I wonder if he told him, like, all right, just pretend like you can't use your pitch com, and then we're gonna bring somebody else in. Like, I don't know.
What has your pitch com?
Yeah, this is the tying run, just 180 feet away.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I am surprised that they're not.
Vest is in there. Vest had looked like what the hell? I could be used.
Mm-hmm.
Brisky still with his glove over his hand like this.
Tavares is a switch hitter who is much better left-handed against right-handed hitters.
Nice.
Or no,
there.
I'm sorry.
Got him swinging with the changeup first pitch, 0-1.
He's better as a lefty.
Bars. He still can't hear it.
Brisky does have that changeup.
Yeah, and that was a good pitch right there. He used it, yeah.
And he's also got 97, 98 in his back pocket, you would think. So changeup low and away, maybe fastball up and in. Or you just go lower and away.
I think you go low and away. It worked the first time. Changeup is tough on lefties. Deadly Ninja is correct on that. So let's see here. Why did he stop play for?
Batter timeout.
Oh, 0-2 now.
That was a strike.
Yeah.
Sorry, that
first face is like,
boy. If this game day is right, that was beyond a strike.
Yes, it was a strike. The 0-2 pitch on the way. All right, 1-2. Although somebody did tweet it out, it's final, so let's see here. I just want to make sure.
There you go. Yep.
Nah. The people at home. The 1-2 pitch, swing and a pop up to center field. Green's underneath it, and we have gone final in our first live stream appearance as the Tigers win.
Tigers use two pitchers. Skubal bulldogs it. Brisky bulldozes it. The Tigers win despite only 4 hits. Just their third win this year where they score 2 runs or fewer. Two of them have come with Skubal on the mound.
Yeah. So by the way, everybody who's watching us on the live stream, if you thought the live stream while watching the game, let us know what you think of it. And we like to do it again. We won't do it all the time because it is very time consuming because this thing, baseball games go to 2-3 hours. But during the minor league game, maybe we'll start the game in the top of the 4th, top of the 5th, or we'll start the game, go for a couple hours and go from there. And let us know what you think, and we would really appreciate it. And of course, thank you for the donations. Now onto the regularly scheduled program. Thank you, Sean, for the feedback.
Power our way through the minors.
Yeah, power our way through the minors here. Let me go ahead and do some rearranging of the screens here, if you will. So let me do this, and let me do that.
That's a nice quality game there, right? You reset the bullpen by Brisky gutting that out, and and what's the Tigers' record? 30-30. Deltron 33. Deltron record.
Yeah. Nice, great reference there. I think that's Del the Funko Homo Sapiens, one of his best songs. Honestly, like just such a great track. I can listen to that track all the time. I love that track. All right, so let me go to the slides here. And all right. All right, so on to the slides here, ladies and gentlemen. So, we got a compliment. So we followed on the game and watching. Okay. It was more fun listening to you than Benetti and Jones, but I appreciate that. Thank you. I just finished illegally streaming the game. Sorry, I missed this. I mean, legal stream for real. We'll do more of an announcement. Today was just like a spur of the moment thing. I was playing around with that app. I was playing around earlier. I'm like, And when I got to work, it was a spontaneous idea. So we'll next time, for the record, we might do this during the. I know Uper somewhere going, come on, guys. I want to, we'll get to do with the Uper at some point and all that. But so explain Deltron. Deltron is a concept album. Would you say it's a concept album between? Yeah. So a few rappers. Well, Chris, go take it away. This is all your wheelhouse.
Yes, there's a rapper named Del the Funky Homo Sapien. He is actually Ice Cube's cousin. He was part of
really did not know. I did not
part
know
of a rap kind of coalition called the Hieroglyphics on the West Coast Bay Area. And but yeah, kind of out there, trippy music. And he collaborated with Dan Nakamura, a producer who also produced Dr. Octagon and various other West Coast sort of classics. And they created this concept album about this kind of futuristic world with cyborgs and it's a cool sound and interesting. And yeah, I mean, it's hip hop, but kind of experimental. And they made 2 albums, actually. The first one, I don't remember the name of the second one. And then a couple years ago, I was watching a kid's cartoon, Craig of the Creek, with my son, and Deltron shows up as a character in this kid's cartoon. I was like, what? It's blowing my mind now. But then, people like me grew up on this music in the late 90s, early 2000s, and went on to make cartoons, I guess. So yeah, it's kind of an obscure reference, but certain rap people might like it.
Yeah. We have a pretty good audience there. So, so going to Toledo, Scranton came in, kicked him in the mouth a couple times, but they came back and bounced up well. Yeah, never got to Player of the Week, 10 for 17. Just, again, hitting the ball pretty well, but the story still remains the same over the last couple of weeks for Week 10. That is Dylan Dingler, who continues to hit the ball very well, seeing the ball in terms of just striking out less. But that 350, it's the slugging percentage too, Chris, the OPS, but just be able to really, he's been seeing the ball amazingly well. And so that's a good sign for the Tigers, especially, I mean, you look at why the Tigers have Carson Kelly and Jake Rogers. Jake Rogers, they're both defensive metrics are outstanding. You want to have that up there. But, Dingler, after a couple of years of just being in that weird spot where you're not sure what to get from him, he's knocking at the door pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a ton of hard contact. One of the things that, we kind of, with all this Malloy stuff, we were kind of digging into more of the batted ball data, swing and miss data, whiff rates down in Toledo. And Dingler is the number 1 player in Toledo in terms of contact in the zone. He's the lowest whiff rate in the zone. If pitchers are throwing the ball in the zone, he's hitting it, which is something that we've heard the Tigers are very, that's a huge indicator for them. You also have to pay attention to chase rate, and he's kind of middling there. But yeah, you don't want to make too much of it, but he feels like one of the players that's kind of breaking out now in the system. There are a handful of them. And you just, if he keeps performing like this, I don't know, it'll be interesting because, theoretically, I think Carson Kelly could play first base. I don't know if he has before. I have to look that up.
I don't think he has.
And Dingler could even, Dingler played center field in college. He's been strictly a catcher, in pro ball, but I don't know. It would be interesting to see what they do there. If they just carry 3 catchers and, we've seen Hinch use both Kelly and let's see. Kelly played 1 game as a third baseman in 2019. So no first base there, but I don't know. It's been a positive development, and it's good to see for a guy that felt like he was stuck in Erie forever, and it's now up to AAA and it's kind of matching a little bit. So good, nice.
So in terms of pitching too, the one thing that I wanted to point out was that you did a really well. Lockhart Jr. has adjusted pretty well in Toledo, but on the flip side of it, Ty Madden, that maddening thing, it's just one of those things where lefties are teeing off of him again, Chris.
It's weird to me. You see the national outlets and they often have Ty Madden as like a borderline top 100 prospect. And he feels like somebody you rank that high if you don't actually watch all the games, right? Like he'll have games where it looks good, but just too many where it looks really rough. And I don't know. Like I think he'll figure some things out eventually, but the consistency's not there. And one of the things we talk about the pitching depth in this system, it is still solid, but I think we kind of overblow a little bit how many of them actually project to be in the rotation. Like there's rotation question marks about just about everybody outside of Jackson Jobe, to be honest.
Yeah.
Madden Montero showed us some things. He needs to work deeper into games and improve the command a little bit. He's probably number 2 behind Job. And then, Gibson Long showed it, but he's hurt. And then it's like Madden and Melton and Herter all have starter-ish traits, but also reliever-ish traits. And we don't really know what to make of Ham until he gets to higher levels. So I don't know. I'm still in my head kind of putting Madden in a bullpen in the future where he might excel, honestly, because I think he can just let loose and throw 97, 99 with a pretty good slider. But that's always a tough decision to make, right? Because he's a guy who can hold his velocity for most of the game and has multiple pitches, 5 pitches, but the strikes aren't there and the quality strikes aren't there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. I mean, the depth is not what it was, but the ability for the Tigers to develop pitching. I mean, like we saw with Bobo Brisky or Inspector Bo Brisky here, but sorry, I had to play this. We had to play this. It was. I don't know if you heard it.
I hear. Oh yeah, I hear it.
Anyway,
well, it seems kind of playing in the background, but
yeah.
J Fast, I will say, J Fast has said Malloy can't hit anything off speed. Showed that tonight. He has no chance. I feel like maybe it's a bit early to make that declaration. We do have some concerns, but it is one game.
Yeah.
And the big leagues is very difficult. Colt Keith, who we've had more confidence in the hitting ability than just about anybody we've seen through the system, save maybe Riley Green. I think we all remember that he looked pretty rough for all of our April before having an awesome May. It takes time for guys to adjust. You have to give them a little bit of time before we declare that they have no chance.
Yeah, and real quick too about this, getting back to starting pitching because I got distracted here with the Inspector Gadget theme. The biggest takeaway, like one of the things we were talking about, like throwing ideas out the wall, was having Brent Hurler as a reliever because of his ability to get that swing and miss stuff. But a guy like Brian or like Salmons, for example, who kind of used kind of like not prospect necessarily, but org. It's quietly put up a pretty good season too, and you can understand why the Tigers have interest in him a little bit. But what I noticed about Erie, and this is what Milton right now, Trey Milton's kind of struggling a little bit with consistency in Erie, is like a guy like Wilco Hernandez. That guy kind of borderline has some stuff there, but does have not the strikeout numbers to put him, to put him over the top, if you will. But he's been pitching better as late. We'll get to Erie here in a second. But there's some what I like about Toledo is guys like Wingetter and Sean Gunther. There's some stuff there that you can put them like they're good patches. In other words, guys you can put in the bullpen for a stretch, and then they're good. That you could probably maybe put them in there for a patch or like for a stretch or two, and then that's it. At least the Tigers have somewhat. I'm not saying all these guys are like, these guys are going to be call up opportunity people, but I feel like they have enough depth there in the bullpen, and at least in the bullpen in Toledo, that if the Tigers do lose a pitcher, Brisky was a prime example of that tonight. Garrett Hill's still a little bit off though, because I think Hill is still struggling with just command, but
it's I don't know, like I put Gunther and Wingetter in there for a reason, right below Lang and Miller, because Lang and Miller are the guys we've seen, and Miller's coming back, and Lang probably will come back eventually. But Wingetter and Gunther are two guys that we could see later in the year if the bullpen gets depleted. Gunther and they both had big league time, and they both could come up and probably get you a couple outs, but they're not guys you would project to stick in the bullpen long term. But like you said, there are a couple pieces there, and not even pieces, right? Just replacements if needed.
Replacement parts. It's not it's not an indictment that way, but like there's some, like even with Flores right now being out too, there's enough intrigue there that I still think he's gonna be. I mean, I did not want to. I was so gun ho about him being a starter, but more and more, it is what it is. I mean, he's probably looking like he's gonna be a reliever.
I just hope he's healthy.
Yeah, that's all you can hope for. Let's go to Erie, who beat up on Richmond pretty well. They're in contention for the first half title to take on New Hampshire, the Fisher Cats, which are not one of the deeper Toronto Jays teams that have been there in a while. It seems like the Jays minor league system has been kind of as of late. But Hao-Yu Lee, which I mentioned earlier, having a good season, continuing to be the catalyst for the SeaWolves offense. Trey Cruz, again, the WRC plus. Look at that, his main numbers are ridiculous. And Jake Holden's been settling like quietly. Him. It was funny. I was looking up stats. Him and Ben Malgeri have been some of the most consistent at bats in Erie. And Malgeri was, I think, in the top 5 in terms of batting average for the Tigers.
Yeah, he didn't have a great week this week, but yeah, he's been. They are just kind of consistent, solid players. Meanwhile, like Chris Myers had one of the stranger weeks. You'll see, if you see it there, the stats: 4 for 23. He had a double and 3 home runs. So all 4 of his hits were extra base hits, and they produced 8 runs, batted in, and then he had 0 walks and 13 strikeouts. It was truly an all or nothing week. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. There's not a ton. We've talked about this a bunch, right? There's not a ton of like traditional prospects on Erie, but it's a quality team. Mendoza is a huge pain in the butt at the top of the order. Workman went from being crazy hot to being kind of average, and then Cruz took over as being crazy hot. And Alfonso can get you, and there's just like you said, Malgeri has improved his performance this year. Yeah, there's only a couple guys who are really continually struggle there, and so they're putting up runs, and the pitching has been solid. Burhen has looked pretty good. He's had kind of up and down. One thing I mentioned here, and was watching that game, kind of paying attention, is he looked like he was headed to his career high in strikeouts. He had 8 strikeouts through 3 innings the other day, and then it kind of fell apart the second time through the order. And I feel like Burhen's got a chance to be a reliever down the road. Another guy, but yeah, I mean, he's been pitching well. You mentioned Wilkel Hernandez. He's pitched well. They're doing all this without their ace, right? So it's been another kind of impressive performance from Gabe Alvarez's crew.
It's just a good job of him managing, by the way. No, Hideo Nomo's contract was not bought out, rather. Sorry, that was weird. That was. Ooh, that was.
No,
that's a foul on my part. No, the Tigers were just too cheap to re-sign him. He wanted to come back after. I mean, he led the team. He had a really good year with the Tigers. I mean, he had a decent year with the Tigers, enough to where he was going to be a guy who could pitch and be an effective starter. It was the first time the Tigers actually got some luck at free agency in terms of starting pitching help, and they were too cheap to re-sign him for whatever reason, which I never understood why. And then he went and had a no-hitter next year in Boston. That was one of those things that really pissed me off. Was just the lack of. Sometimes it's just like it's the same thing with Polanco. Placido Polanco. You went with Scott Sizemore because you wanted to be cheap. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
No, I there was a question. Was it Deadly Ninja Bees? Who was it that was asking? Who is the Hao-Yu Lee comp? I don't know. Does anybody jump out at you like for a comp for Hao-Yu Lee? He's a shorter, kind of well-built, well-rounded second baseman. We talked about before, like
I don't know.
the Penguin.
Yeah, the Penguin.
No, it's what interesting. Like he's got the arm to play third base, but he kind of has to like really amp up to throw, and then that you saw him make a throwing error in person because I think he just had to, he just had to put his whole body into it. So I do think second base is the position for him. I don't know. I'm trying to think if anybody currently playing. Yeah, it's tough. Like I would project him to be like, a guy.
I like the Wilmer Flores comp that Ray's put in there.
I could see Wilmer Flores type for sure. I was also thinking maybe like Tyro Estrada or whatever, but I don't think he's going to steal as many bases. I think he's like a guy who I could see him hitting, 240, 260 with like 15 home runs and 10 steals and playing solid defense at second. Like it's a solid average regular, but I don't know if there's any player who comes to mind at the moment. And we've already seen people calling for him to get promoted, right? That's just, and we talk about that all the time. It's been a long running joke with us. Call them up. People have no real patience. They just want to see these guys come up. and the Tigers themselves want to see players dominate right before they move up. And one of the things I actually put together, because Hao-Yu Lee, second baseman, through 47 games in Double-A at age 21, kind of similar to Colt Keith last year. Hao-Yu Lee right now, 274, 351, 478, 8 home runs, 10.4% walk rate, 19.9% K rate. That's a 133 WRC plus. That's very good. Colt Keith last year, through 47 games, 325, 398, 567, 10 home runs, 10% walk rate, 21.7% strikeout rate for a 162 WRC plus. So he was almost 30% better than Hao-Yu Lee has been through 47 games. And the Tigers waited another couple weeks before they promoted Colt Keith. So I don't think we're in danger of Hao-Yu Lee getting promoted anytime soon. But he's certainly been one of the more positive developments in the system through the first couple months.
We mentioned that. We mentioned that earlier, Jay, about Torkelson. I don't say problematic in the clubhouse. I'm not going to say that. That's not. I mean, prima donna, a little stretch, but I mean, he doesn't want to talk about swing. He doesn't talk about the beat reporters. I've been there. So go ahead.
May I get pedantic here for a moment?
You may get pedantic.
Okay. Prima donna is an Italian word. It's Primadonna. Prima donna. Prima donna would be, I don't know, who's a singer before Madonna? That's more your territory.
Deborah Harry would be.
Yeah. Deborah Harry. She was prima donna.
Yes.
I mean, we get that. I don't think Tork is a prima donna. Yeah, he might not want to change because he's had success for most of his life and it's tough to change. But that doesn't mean that he's not willing to learn. I don't know. Anyway, there's pedantic corner over.
The one thing is that because the Athletic article is correct, because Cody and I have talked about this at softball a few times too. That is, it's not a prima donna. He just doesn't want to talk about a swing, whether that makes him however that term is used. He's stubborn in his ways. I wrote about it too. He is stubborn in his ways. And the only way Chase Young gets on this team is if you put Colt Keith at first and put him at second. He's not ready to play third base. I'm sorry. I've watched enough Toledo Mud Hens baseball to see him at third where he saw some long ways to go. So unless you want to put him in as a DH full-time or whatever the case is, there's right now Young can't be called up. I mean, they will, unless they make room for him.
Yeah, and Young's bat isn't ready either. Yeah. He's got more in-zone swing and miss than Malloy. He's one of the highest on the Toledo team right now, and he's struggling against breaking balls as well. So he's got some things to learn. They called up who they thought was most ready to come up, and it's going to be a little while, I think, before we see anybody else.
So next up is the West Michigan Whitecaps, who had a really good week against Great Lakes, their rival, and they'll be traveling to South Bend. And after that, I think they're home the rest of the month, I believe. And Roberto Campos came down a little bit, but also he did get hit.
Yeah, and he missed. That was his first at bat of the game. I think he missed the next game. So only a handful of games, but certainly another guy who's showing a lot of positive signs so far this year.
Yeah, and whether you want to think it's either because he's repeating high A or not, but there's still the batted ball data suggests too he's hitting the ball more in the air. He's cutting back on he's hitting more line drives. He's cut back on his ground balls, or rather, the ground ball side of things. So he's not. There's things that are doing well, and defensively he's doing better. The line of the week for me in West Michigan was Dylan Smith, who looked really good. 6 innings of work, 3 innings, 1 run, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. One of his most effective starts. And Jaden Ham had a short start, and then it wasn't because of pitch issues, right, Chris?
No, I never heard. Maybe Dan Hasty could give us the inside scoop, or probably isn't supposed to, but I never heard what happened, why they took him out. They had somebody warming up while Ham was finishing his 3rd inning. And then after his 3rd inning, he just hung out in the dugout. They weren't looking at his shoulder or arm or anything like that. He seemed fine. So I don't know if there's some sort of innings limit per month that they were working on, or we'll have to dig into that more in the future. I think he's scheduled to pitch tomorrow in South Bend. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, he just continues to get out, and he is he's a guy that we do assume will get promoted relatively soon, but obviously that requires health and hitting whatever benchmarks they have set for him.
Yeah, we'll see what it'll be interesting to see if it's just a matter of maybe there's like what they did last year, for example, with Lyle Lockhart Jr. and Sawyer Gibson Long when they set him aside and said, "Here's a new pitch we want you to learn before you go up to Double-A." I mean, remember that was something that happened last year too. So maybe they were they're just like, okay, you hit your certain requirement of pitches, we'll get back to you. And before I forget this too, tomorrow is Say Cheese Night at Erie. And part of the promotion is they're introducing a flaming hot funnel cake. So it is what it looks like is like it's
like flaming hot Cheetos
and jalapenos on top of a funnel cake, and it looks like butthole river of hot lava butthole coming out of your butt, whatever. It just looks like a digestive nightmare that of my dreams.
Turn it to give it the old rectal sarlacc pit. Yeah, I don't know. People like to eat hot Cheetos on everything for some reason. I'm not a big fan.
My son used to crunch. He took the flaming hot Cheetos, put it on his ramen, and then would put sriracha, and then put it on there. And I was like, man, it's just ugh. So So my buddy played on the 2018 Arizona
State team.
Arizona State team, Taylor Lane. He said he was an absolute prima donna. His words, just spelled correctly. So that's where the smoke there would be fire. Again, just looking at him in the locker room. If he doesn't want to talk about his swing, if it makes him a prima donna, that will be they'll just a
off the Flickers building.
Yeah, that'll be off the Flickers building.
Yeah. I listen. I don't know. Maybe Torkelson does need an attitude adjustment of some capacity. Maybe hanging out in the Toledo locker room will do it. You would think that would have happened the last time he went to Toledo. I don't necessarily think it's that. I just sometimes guys just don't work out, right? Yeah. Like Mark Appel was his first overall pick, didn't work out. Henry Davis hasn't looked great so far. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. The 2020 draft, kind of a disaster all around. And that's what happens when you only get to scout for like 15 games.
Yeah. Absolutely, Chris. It's just one of those things. And again, let's move on, because there's the team that everybody's been talking about. We've been looking at quite a bit, and they were playing their arch rival Clearwater. They're able to get some action on them, and they, Kevin McGonigal, just a beast. Just the four walks, 5 strikeouts. The home run to the right was a bomb. And outside of that, Chris, this is something that I want to keep continuing to pay attention to. The namesake, Rainer Castillo, continues to be one of the quietly having a really good year. We talked about it a few years ago, and he just then got injured, and then he just kind of disappeared for a little while. But he's on a revenge tour a little bit, and I don't know. He's been looking really good, and this is a Clearwater team that's got some really good prospects on it.
Yeah, no, Clearwater has Aiden Miller, who is arguably, he and McGonigal have been the 2 best players in the Florida State League so far this year. And that Jordan Vyers kid had just the biggest week. He had the 3 home run game. I think he had multiple doubles. So they've got a good team. They got a bunch of big arms. George Klassen was a hard throwing guy who played at Minnesota, didn't throw enough strikes in college. And when you don't do that in college, you don't get to pitch much. But Philly has seemingly straightened him out, and he's upper 90s with a nasty slider. And so it's a really good team. I believe that Clearwater leads in run differential, and Lakeland is right behind them. And honestly, this was McGonigal basically carried the team this week. Like, there wasn't a ton of offense from the rest of the squad. You see there, Jim Jarvis had a pretty good week. Clark had kind of a down week, but still managed to cause some havoc and get on base and stuff. But McGonigal was just awesome. They couldn't get him out for a while. Everything he was hitting was hard. He did hit a ball 110 miles an hour. I talked about that. It was straight into the ground, so I didn't bother clipping it, because I was like, well, that might be impressive, but it's, it doesn't really do much for you. It was a single, but yeah, he was, he's consistently putting up like 98 to 102 mile an hour line drives into the outfield and just barreling up everything. And looks like he's ready to move up. Honestly, like it wouldn't shock me if they pumped him up, but I do think that they want to give these guys that feeling of competing for something before they move them up to a new city and a new location and a host family and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's also the element too that now there's in the minor leagues they're unionized too, so it goes across all the levels, and so there's a lot more to be with that going on too. So they get paid more a little bit, and so that all those little factors of like mentally help will go a long way, just help you play and focus better. And still no word about Christian Santana either too.
No, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. Sean O'Toole mentions Kylie McDaniel was saying McGonigal was fly through the system. Ben Badler of Baseball America is a huge McGonigal fan. He was so
remember the podcast. He was pumped. Remember it was
everybody knew that he was going to hit. Like everybody, all he's ever done is hit. It's just kind of odd that it's one of those weird scouting things where you kind of outthink yourself and you go, oh, he's kind of short, probably can't play shortstop. And meanwhile, so far he looks absolutely fine at shortstop. Like he probably won't ever be the best shortstop on a big league team. But so far, the hands, the timing all look good. The range might be fringe average, but he's playing just fine there. And he's going to be an above average second baseman, and he's going to hit, and he's going to steal bases, and he may hit for power because he's such a good hitter. So yeah, it's a great pick. He's going to be a top 50 prospect most places before too long. So really nice. I don't know if he could drink 100 beers on one flight like Wade Boggs, but we'll see. I mean, he certainly can't do it legally right now because he's 19. But and just to get back to Rainer Castillo before, and I don't know who else we wanted to talk about, but yeah, he was hurt, and then he started on the IL this year because he's 19 and he had some wisdom teeth removed. So you got to figure sometimes these guys are kids. He doesn't look like a 19-year-old.
No,
he's every bit of 6'5" and I don't know 250, 270. He's just enormous.
He's a grown man, dude.
And we've talked on this, and I don't want to harp on it forever, but it's just incredibly easy. 95, 97 strikes. That's what, like, it'd be one thing if he was spraying the ball everywhere. He's just throwing tons of strikes with that mid-90s fastball, and the slider will occasionally flash above average. It's not terribly consistent right now, and there's a lot to like right there. He's got to find an off-speed pitch if he wants to continue starting at higher levels, I think. Because it's a sinker and a four-seamer, but I think lefties will start to tee off on him in higher levels. And I don't know if he just doesn't have feel for a changeup. Maybe they have to add a splitter. But it's a lot of great building blocks there. He's holding that mid-90s velocity through 5 innings. And like I said, the strikes of a starter are there. So there's plenty of time to develop that off-speed pitch, but I do think it's going to have to come eventually.
One of the starts he had, and I'm glad Rays brings it up, is that sinker. He was talking about the 97-mile-an-hour sinker. There was towards the end of the start, or towards the big end of the start, he started getting more swings and misses. But that sinker was getting a lot of ground balls, easy ground balls on the left side of the infield, and he's been able to use that pitch effectively, pitch to contact, which you don't really see often. That where he was like he knew exactly where he was going to place it in the bottom of the zone, and there was nothing. It just beat it right into the ground.
Yeah, and I think it's a useful comparison to talk about him with the other 19-year-old pitchers in the complex league, Paul Wilson and Blake Dickerson, who are struggling to throw strikes and pitching shorter stints. And Castillo just looks like the much better prospect to me right now. Maybe those other guys have a higher ceiling down the road, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think he's a guy that's. I would certainly have him. I did have him in my top 30 when we did our update, but I think the next update, I think everybody will.
Yeah, it does look. I like that YouTube user said Castillo looks like visually looks like a bigger Bartolo Colon.
And there was another. Sorry, I don't want to derail things. There was another question. How does Clark have so many RBIs? Yeah, YouTube user. Hits high and in the order, doesn't really hit for power. A lot of that has to do, I think Brandon touched on this. David Smith, he's been hitting at the bottom of the order, and he's got like a 20% walk rate. He's just always on base. He's hitting like 210, 215 or something like that, but he's always on base. And then, Clark and, he's Smith and McGonigal hitting ahead of you. You're going to have men on base, and Clark has a knack for bringing them home. He's, he's striking out a little bit more than you'd like and not hitting for a ton of power, but he can put the ball in play. That's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And then especially also he's been going the opposite way a lot of it too, driving in runs. So as far as the FCL goes, there's a couple guys we've talked about this recently. In terms of like Framber Malloy, Normar Vanna, I really like Enrique Jimenez, even though just his numbers this week were I still like his frame as a catcher. The only person Chris, I haven't had a chance to watch him yet is Juan Hernandez.
Yeah, I haven't. I've seen him briefly in one of those, Phillies things. He's, one of the younger guys who came over this year. I couldn't tell you a whole lot about him right now. He kind of has been filling in. He's not starting a bunch of games this year. They're kind of taking it slow with him. But he was another one of their, I think, fairly highly regarded international signings. Yeah, you mentioned Enrique Jimenez. I've been impressed with him as a receiver. The few times I've seen him, looks pretty polished as a catcher for an 18-year-old. Obviously there's always stuff to work on and probably framing and calling games and all that stuff. But so far, and he's a shorter, kind of stocky guy that I don't project a ton of over the fence power, but he's got a pretty good double swing right now, and so he's one to keep an eye on. And yeah, I know Jay is asking, do you see anything you love in our rookie league? We've talked about this a couple times. Frenier Montilla is getting rave reviews from people who've seen him down in Lakeland, like rave top 10 in the system type reviews. Didn't have a great week this week, so who knows? Maybe somebody just saw him when he was on a heater. But he's a guy that I'm really eager to see come up to Lakeland at some point. And Anibal Salas is tooled up, but kind of in a probably more raw way. So yeah. And then the pitching down there is interesting. Like we said, Paul Wilson has a couple good breaking balls, a decent changeup. Can't locate his fastball to save his life right now, which is a little bit disappointing. You hope that they can get that ironed out at some point. And
Yeah,
Dickerson's just kind of been up and down.
I was gonna say you'd like to see some more swing and miss stuff too from the fastball, but it hasn't been there yet. It's been all breaking balls he's been swing and miss on, right? With Wilson.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the fastball has some good tendencies. It's still a low 90s pitch, but it's got pretty good IVB on it. He just can't locate it very well right now. And hopefully they can get that ironed out, because there's good stuff there otherwise. But I don't know, it's so early with these guys, 19-year-olds. That's what I'm just saying. Like, it's kind of stunning how many strikes Castillo is throwing compared to these other guys who are more highly touted on most prospect lists.
Yeah, and that's where like the draft pedigree and all that stuff comes into play, and some of the international, and also because the Tigers have not really had much success with the international pitchers at all. I mean, until recently, Adam Montero is the only starter that has come through in quite some time. I mean, take away Gregory Soto and all these things in terms of relievers. They had a big type, the big burly reliever type, and starter wise, they have not had success at all. So
yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be cool to have some of those guys come through. I don't know, like we talked before, I'm generally pretty excited about the talent level in A-ball and the rookie level right now. There's a lot of interesting players down there, more so than I can recall in the last 10 years.
Yeah. But as far as like final question for the night, we're going to answer one more question, then we're going to get out of here, because we've been almost at it for almost. Again, thank you for tuning. If you've tuned in the whole entire time while watching the Tigers game, and we were heading in the show, we appreciate it. In terms of Scott Harris, thoughts about Scott Harris, I mean, depending on if you're looking at it for a scouting standpoint, the jury's still out a little bit. I think that he's been able to, if you give a lot of credit to Ryan Garco for hiring the right personnel, give credit to Garco for getting people in like, Gabe Rivas, who's done really pitching. One of the pitching coordinators has done a really good job of setting guys aside and putting plans together and organizing the minors in a little bit. And there's a lot of that going on. I mean, Scott Harris has been able to let those guys do their job because they've been effective. And so, but yeah, I think, I give more credit to in terms of setting those things up a little bit. And Ryan Garko should deserve some credit for that, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think the like you said, the jury's still out with Scott Harris, right? We've seen, they acquired Justyn-Henry Malloy. Still don't really know about him. They acquired Hao-Yu Lee. We're pretty positive about him, but it's still probably just an average ceiling. The Gregory Soto trade, Matt Vierling looks good right now. It's been mixed bag otherwise. Mixed bag, not a mixed bag. Maytown and Sands are gone. And Vierling wasn't all that great last year. But, we have one draft to go on. McGonigal looks awesome. Clark has shown a lot of promising things. At the same time, there was no reason they couldn't have taken Wyatt Langford and Kevin McGonigal either, right? Like, they saved some money and used that money on Paul Wilson and Carson Rucker and Andrew Dunford and a bunch of other guys. But they had enough to get Langford and McGonigal if they wanted to. They like Clark's ceiling, I think, more. And you see the building blocks of it right there. He looks like a dynamic future leadoff hitter. And he's kind of a swing tinkerer right now. I think he's making changes and they've been for the better. But yeah, I don't know. I want to see another draft. I want to see what they do in this upcoming draft. I liked the philosophical shift a great deal.
Yes.
Which was essentially they went from taking these kind of theoretically polished college players to a ton of younger guys and trusting their scouting and developing. And they targeted the hit tool, which is fine by me. So we'll see what they do in this upcoming draft. We'll be, as Raj said, we'll be digging into that a lot more in the upcoming weeks because it's getting close. So, but yeah, jury's still out, right? It's only been a year or two.
Jay, thank you for
thank you, Jay.
Yeah, for $9.99.
Exquisite. Off the Frickers building.
And on that note, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And so if you're listening to us at home, we're going to be splitting this into two things. So the first part of the podcast is definitely going to be more of a visual thing. So you're listening to the minor league recap. If you're listening to the minor league recap, you can go to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tiger Minor League Report, and watch the live stream as we live streamed during the Tigers game. And if you feel like doing a donation, like we did with the super chats or the donation, go to our PayPal link that's going to be in the show description or on our website. And Thursday will be another episode of the More Metric podcast. We'll bring Hooper back in and recap the series with Texas. And so the draft show is coming up on July 14th, I want to say. July 14th. Yes. Night of the draft. And we'll be live streaming that as well. But go ahead, Chris.
We didn't even talk about it. This is, always fun to add this at the end of a 2-hour show. I don't know if you saw what they're adding to the the skills competition.
Oh, I saw that
Futures
game.
Yeah.
We should live stream during that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that would be fun. I don't know if people saw it, but they're going to have, it's kind of a more elaborate home run derby where they're going to have targets all over the field and reward players for showing that they can spray the ball. And it should be a lot of fun.
They're doing that in Japan for a while. Is it Japan or Korea they've been doing that in for a while?
They used to do something like that in the Arizona Fall League too, where they'd have.
Oh, really?
They also had like hula hoops that they would throw in the infield and see if the guys could bunt it in there. I'm like, get out of here! I don't care about bunts.
Who cares though? That was probably just some. Yeah, on that. So, thank you everybody. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you. If you're not going to watch us Thursday, watch us every Monday night during the Tigers game or starting at 9:00. Brandon Day will be back with the next week. And wait, you know what? Yeah, we got to listen to the White Sox thing. We'll watch that afterwards. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I meant to watch that, and we just got sidetracked with some stuff. But yeah, I'll watch that afterwards. Thanks so much.